Everybody, we are back. It is Safe on Live's favorite podcast, favorite channel, favorite everything. We are back. You guys already know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. Subscribe. Hit the like button if you like it. Hit the dislike button if you don't like it. Leave a comment if you like it. Leave a comment if you don't like it. Also follow us on Twitter at the Mark John NFL for me, at mholder95 for Matt, and of course pandasubs.com. Discount code TDL for 35% off. So of course we were just going to come in here and talk a little about the Senior Bowl here, but I guess there's some big news here. This is also a Patrick Graham defensive coordinator reaction show. It's turned into that right before the show started. So got a little switch up there for the for all of this. But hey, perfect timing, I believe, with us coming live. They knew it's right to announce it. It was as soon as Matt and Marcus are going live at the Senior Bowl, we're going to announce Patrick Graham is going to be the defensive coordinator. So, yeah. So we got that news coming in, but also we're going to talk about the Senior Bowl and some of the players that we liked out here so far. So, Matt, how are you feeling, man? We're getting some questions about the weather. How's the weather?
I mean, it's been warm today. I mean, if you can't tell by my face, I mean, it doesn't look like I'm too bad on this camera, but I got some raccoon eyes from the sunburn, so it's weather's been actually pretty nice. We got up, I think, into the 70s today, which down south is sun beats a little bit more. It feels a little hotter, so yeah, been good weather so far. Probably the best weather we've had at the Senior Bowl in a few years.
Yeah, it's been pretty good weather, man. Just what I would say, just hotter than usual. Usually it's raining all the time, man. It's just kind of going off a lot there, and just kind of just rain and not be able to watch everything. So it's pretty cool to be able to watch everything. I was making a joke about my glasses. Finally got my glasses working, so I was, it's a good thing. But we're out here doing our thing out here. But Patrick Graham is the defensive coordinator. So what are your thoughts about them bringing him back, Matt?
I mean, it's interesting. I think obviously, like the way last season unfolded, it didn't look great for Graham. They won't use the excuse, but the injuries did start to mount, and I think the coverages, as you saw, like kind of got more vanilla. I think we even joked in the last game. It seemed like he was just kind of phoning it in there at the end. But I think if you get the 2023 version of Graham, where the defense was playing much better than expected, that's kind of what you're hoping for, and hopefully they can get back to there next season with everyone fully healthy. And I mean, it kind of just shows how respected Graham is as a defensive mind. The fact that he survived now 2 head coaches. I mean, Antonio Pierce is just kind of keeping the staff last year. But the fact that Pete Carroll comes in, I don't believe they ever worked together. I don't think Graham's was ever in Seattle. Yeah, so the fact that Carroll was willing to keep him on instead of bringing in someone like maybe that we thought of like a Clint Hurt or a Sean Desai, who Carroll's worked with in the past, and instead opting to keep Graham just shows you how much respect he has around the league. And I think it's good for the defense too, because they get more continuity, as we've talked about in the past. So now it's a matter of bringing back some of those key free agents on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I saw a comment that Pete credits Graham for putting the book out on stopping Russ, which is very true. That was definitely a game that I like to point out when it comes to Russell Wilson, because Russell Wilson definitely fell apart after that. That was when they thought Brian Schottenheimer was getting that big buzz at that point in time back then too. So they bring back Patrick Graham, who I think. I think Graham is just like, sometimes it's just so hit and miss. Like sometimes it's like a great game plan. The next time, sometimes it's too much playing for the red zone at times, and you feel like you want him to be more aggressive. So I think that's just the dynamic with Patrick Graham. But there's also why I think Pete Carroll kind of has the same mentality with the way they play defense, which is be great in the red zone. They might not be the best in yards and things like that, but it's like timely stops and things like that. So they kind of have the same philosophy. So that's kind of the reason why I see that relationship kind of becoming a partnership, because they basically on the same page, I believe, as a defensive philosophy. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I did think we saw Graham dial up the blitz a little bit more. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I wouldn't be surprised if he blitzed a little bit more this past year. Again, part of that probably because of injuries, especially when you lose Christian Wilkins and Malcolm Kuntz, who were two of your guys who you're expecting to be pressure guys. But I felt like we saw Graham blitz a lot more this season, especially bring some linebackers, guys like Spillane, and then even Trevon Merrick to it when he started playing in the box more this season. So, yeah, guy he's willing to adapt, which is what I've always liked about Graham since the moment he's hired. Is he's not one of these dudes who's stuck in their system, which I've liked. It's just you hope to get a little bit better results than what they got last season, which, again, as we talked about during the season, was part of the issue with the offense couldn't hold up their end of the bargain too. So,
yeah, I mean, it's a big part of it, man. I mean, when you have the defense having a ton of injuries too. I mean, he had a bunch of injuries to deal with, so maybe they feel like that if they keep him around, then they can kind of see what they could really do with the defensive line if they had. To me, it means they're bringing back a lot of the defense, right? I mean, they're going to bring back a lot of these defensive guys. I think they're going to try to see what they could do and give it like one more run with this defense and see what they can get out of it. And then worry about how to fulfill the offense and get the offense ready for the future, because at this point in time, with not having a quarterback and not having that dynamic offense, you need the defense to be the leader at this point. I mean, and that's got to be your outlook, in my opinion, is the defense has to be the leader, because the Raiders aren't going to have, even if they draft a quarterback or something, the quarterback's not going to come out and just, he's not going to be Jay Daniels, right? So, but he's going to come out and kind of have his struggles, and you're going to need a defense that gets going to kind of hold up a little bit, and you're going to need a running game that kind of holds up a little bit until we get to that point where you can be like a straight up fast pass first team, because the Raiders are a long way from that no matter what, unless they get trade for Stafford or something like that. I don't know. I was talking about that today, but we're going to see what they do with that. But it would be have to be something like that for them to kind of take that step as a passing football team. So they got to play defense at this point. I mean, they really don't have an option.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here if we got any questions. Let's get to the Senior Bowl, because I think we talk about enough Raiders. Patrick Graham. There's really nothing to go crazy about. They're bringing back Patrick Graham. It's nothing really that much to talk about. I'm just told I need to set up my DMs in Blue Sky. I got to do that. All right, I'll make sure that I do that. I just forget about that. This is my problem. Are you on Blue Sky yet, Matt?
On Blue Sky. No, probably soon. I haven't had the time to make the profile soon, but I've been Twitter's been frustrating, so I might be making the switch soon. So we'll see.
Yeah. How did the QBs look? So I guess we'll start there, because this is what everybody wants to talk about anyways. So quarterbacks at the Senior Bowl here. I was really, Jackson Dart, Jalen Monroe, right? The big names. Will Howard dropped out. So it's like Riley Leonard, and then some dude from Canada, and then some guy from this, was it Seth something? I should probably bring up my list here, but yeah. So
did you mention Gabriel?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Dylan Gabriel. Yeah, my bad. Dylan Gabriel. I can't forget him. So those are the quarterbacks out here right now. I don't want to say this. I mean, it's not like amazing, I guess, but it really hasn't been like awful. Yeah, I think Dart has been up and down, right? I mean, he's had some good throws, and he's been late, and then he's missed some throws that he should make, but he's made some good throws. So, it really hasn't changed my mind about him or anything like that. I feel like he's still the same. I think Jalen Monroe, he really hasn't changed my mind either. He has some great deep passes, and then he can't hit intermediate or short passes. So that's really how he looks. I guess Riley Leonard probably changed my mind on him, because I was talking about him. I almost made a joke about him being QB3 just to troll people, but I wasn't in a troll today. But I did think that he kind of changed my mind a little bit about how he looks overall. He just looks like a great backup. That's what Riley Leonard does. Like he looks like a guy that that's gonna be a great backup for like 10 years, and he's gonna keep finding a way to do that. So I know you weren't watching too much of the quarterbacks, Matt, but what were some of your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think with Milroe, one of the things, it feels like he's swimming right now. They're very clearly trying to coach him up on how to take snaps under center, which starts in that same category too. But it feels like they're trying to like get him to be like an NFL passer, so to speak, and not kind of letting him be him, which, using his legs is a big part of it. And he's trying to stay in the pocket and at the same time work on his accuracy. And it just feels like he's trying to do everything and at the same time doing nothing, if that kind of makes sense, where like he's almost trying to absorb too much information and it's just kind of like impacting him. Like he skipped a throw today that was about 5 yards short that we didn't expect from him, and it just feels like he's almost like his mind's spinning right now and he's like swimming, and I feel like that's a big part of it. I think with Dart, like you said, I haven't spent too much time focusing on the quarterbacks, but he seems like he's just been more inconsistent. Like he had a couple nice balls in one-on-one where he's just letting it rip and throwing some good deep shots, and he's also missed guys and missed some easy throws and had some inaccuracy issues. And of course, staring down. The most consistent guy has been Dylan Gabriel, in my opinion. It's just he's not doing anything that's like that's sexy, if you will. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
He's not like going to be pushing the ball down the field, and we kind of knew that about him. But what he is doing is just kind of being him, where he's being accurate, making good decisions with the ball, and then not really turning it over. It is funny though. I pointed this out to Marcus on the first day. Like he's paired with two like 6'5" quarterbacks, and he measured in at 5'10.5". Like when he's in the game, especially with some of those big offensive linemen, he kind of looks a little out of place. Like you can see like how small he is, and that was something that when I watched him on film, like he doesn't do himself any help with the narrative of short quarterbacks getting passes bad at the line of scrimmage. But again, as far as his performance goes on the field this week, like he's kind of been as advertised, hasn't done anything too flashy or nothing like that, but has just been consistent, and you can tell it kind of picked up the playbook, which when you're started for 6 years in college and played in 3 systems, it kind of helps when you come to an event like this where now you have to learn another new offense. So, did I lose you? Did I lose you, Marcus? What do we got here? Uh-oh. See if I can get him back.
Oh, am I there? Am I back, guys?
Yeah, now you're back. We lost you for at least a good 30 seconds.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
No.
Technical difficulties. All right, now it's just me. Let's see. Let's see here. Pull up the chat, see if we can get some comments. Oh, we got it back.
My bad, guys. I didn't know somebody calling you could ruin your whole damn stream.
Solo one here. I was freaking out a little bit. I'm like, man, what am I gonna do? It's gonna be Matt unhinged.
yeah. No, I like somebody can call you and like just kicks you off the stream. Like that's not right. All right. But your thought. I was what you're saying about Dart. I just think that like with him, I mean, he just looked the same. I mean, there's really nothing crazy with him. So, yeah. I wasn't really didn't like raise his stock. It didn't lower it. It's really the same exact where it's at. So, we'll see though. We'll see what he does, man. We'll see what the week looks like for him. I mean, tomorrow's red zone, so we'll see how they finish. Other positions though. So talk about defensive line, because that is something the Raiders really need. So what were some of your thoughts of defensive line, Matt?
Yeah, so one of the first standouts is, if you haven't heard the name Mike Green from Marshall, get to know it, because the dude's playing like a dude solidified himself as a first round pick. I don't know if he's gonna. I think it's probably gonna take him off the Raiders' radar unless they want to trade back or something like that, because I don't think you take him at 6 necessarily. But the dude's been an absolute baller. He was one of the guys who I found a little bit later in the process for me, like towards the end of the college football season, but he led the country in sacks, has plenty of moves to win around the edge, can win with quickness. And then today, like you probably saw if you're on Twitter, you probably saw the clip of him just going right through Josh Connolly's chest, who's also a first-round talent at offensive tackle, and putting Connolly on his ass. So he's a stud. He's a stud. He's checked every box that he's needed to check this week. He made in over 250 pounds, which was good for him. I still think he has some room for growth to get a little bit bigger and stronger. What I like about him is he's physical. He's not a guy that you have to turn up. You just need to put some extra weight on him so he has a little bit more mass to set the edge and whatnot against the run. And he's done a good job setting the edge here too. The other thing is showing off the pass rush repertoire. Again, we already knew he could win around the edge. We already knew he could win with speed and had some inside counters. On top of it, he's got some decent ability to turn speed to power, as we saw this week. And then finally just proving himself against higher competition. Obviously at Marshall, didn't play the best competition week in and week out. Comes here to the Senior Bowl, and he's been one of the standouts. Been one of the talks of mobile here for how he's just handled a lot of these offensive tackles. And to be honest with you, it wasn't that surprising. If you go back and watch his game, I know he didn't have a ton of production against Ohio State, but if you go back and watch that game, like he did pretty well and doing a lot of things that just didn't necessarily stand out on the stat sheet. The other guy that's kind of really made some money this week and probably going to be a first-round pick, we'll see where he ends up, is Shamar Stewart. For me, I'm like definitely later to the party on him. He only had 4.5 sacks in 3 years in college, and it was a lot of times on film when I watch him, I'm like, I see the traits, I see where people are coming from, but you're just not putting it all together at this stage. So I almost thought he should go back to school. He came to Senior Bowl and shut me up. He's been the stud on both phases of the game. I mean, today in one team period, he blew up one play to get a TFL against the run, and then not too shortly thereafter, he got a quick win as a pass rusher and got a strip sack. So he's been dominating pretty much all week. Those are the two biggest money makers, in my opinion, on the defensive side of probably on the defensive side of the ball as a whole, really. The other guy that I know probably some people had some questions about or eyes on, Deion Walker out of Kentucky. He was a guy that over the summer was getting some first round buzz because he's big, 340, like weighed in at 340, 6'7", 340, and can move. But this past season was pretty bad for him. He had issues with his pad level, staying low and staying in, and especially being consistent throughout a game. Like I had questions about his conditioning, and I thought an event like this, the Senior Bowl, where you get a lot of 1 reps, sit for a while, 1-2 reps, sit for a while, you rotate in the defensive line so everybody can get looks. This would be his event to dominate, and he's kind of been underwhelming. I heard he was a little bit better today, but like yesterday, his pad level was an issue, especially against double teams, and he's just to put it simply, he's just too big to get pushed around as much as he does in the running game. Yeah. And then today, I heard he was better today, but still consistency was an issue, and his pad level was a little bit better today, but he ended up getting hurt, so kind of put a damper on it. And like, is a guy that's just kind of keeps falling for me. I mean, he has kept me leaving or wanting more the more and more I've watched him this year, which is disappointing for a guy again who was getting a lot of hype and was getting in that DT2 range behind Mason Graham, and now he's slid well below that. And a guy like Walter Nolan, who had a good first day, got injured unfortunately today, is definitely ahead of him in those rankings.
Yeah. I thought Walker is he's just too tall, and he doesn't. He has to get his pad level down. I mean, that's going to be work with him, and will he ever do that? You know what I mean? That's going to be on your defensive coach. Is going to kind of build on that. But I wouldn't be too mad if the Raiders took him, just because he is a kind of athletic freak for how big he is. So if it does work out, you might have a really great player inside. But they do have a needed nose tackle, so it wouldn't be too crazy for me. They took him. It's just, you just have to know he's a little bit of a project. So I have to go in there with those expectations and not expect him to come out there and just be starting right away like some people do with some fans. So, but it is interesting there. So, other than that, on the defensive side of the ball that I saw, I mean, I know people are talking about the Florida State DB. Tom McShay said he was the best player out there, and I was trying to remember watching him or him standing out to me. And Tez Johnson was just eating him up all day. So because Tez Johnson had a really good day, and Tez Johnson was eating that guy up. And maybe that's like an athletic thing. Maybe he plays more outside. But just for Todd McShay to say that he was the best player here, that was interesting to say. Because I can't remember his name. The dude from FSU.
Yeah, I'm forgetting it too. I mean, I haven't been able to watch the TVs that much. Let me see.
Yeah, but I saw that. I was like, on the TikTok, and I saw him doing Tom McShay just raving about him. And
yeah, Ray Thomas.
Yeah, Ray Thomas. He was raving about him. I thought the guy from Kentucky, he's number 11 out there. I thought he's been playing really well too. I thought he's looking pretty well out there.
Yeah, Maxwell Harrison.
Yeah, and then who else on the defense side of the ball? I mean, a couple linebackers looked okay, but then they'll do like one rep. I know you're talking about the linebackers today, so what do we think about the linebackers a little bit? Because the Raiders kind of do have a need at linebacker too.
Yeah, so one guy that really stood out to me today was Demetrius Knight from South Carolina. He's like 240, and one of the things that like was kind of popped up was he showed some good instincts and speed against outside runs to get to the right spot. He also had a few like notable plays that you just heard that caught your attention from how much pop he had behind his pads, where he just kind of come up and stuck a few blockers to force some cutbacks, and then one where third down, and he got in a little trouble for sticking a running back too hard. And his defense, he just hit him with his shoulder. He didn't wrap up or try and take him to the ground. He just hit him so damn hard the running back fell on his ass. So he was really impressive. He's a guy that's kind of shot up recently and ended up having a pretty good season. He is going to be a 25-year-old rookie. He was a 6-year guy. So who knows how that impacts his draft stock. A lot of times teams will get weary of drafting the older players because they might be viewed as the lower ceiling and whatnot, but he's a dude who had a pretty productive year last year at South Carolina. That's interesting. Jeffrey Bossa, I wrote about him yesterday. He was really impressive on Tuesday. Wednesday, he was a little bit more up and down. Like he started out pretty strong, had a quick read in the team period to get a tackle like close to the line of scrimmage as a run defender. Then in coverage, had a couple lapses, got beaten zone by his old teammate Terrence Ferguson. Had one where he looked like he just had a coverage bust, which those kind of things happen when you're in an event like this and you're learning a new system. And then he ended up picking it up later. And the one-on-ones, he had a nice PBU against the running backs there, and then finished strong too with a couple plays against the run of the team period. So he, to me, is probably one of the best linebackers here, and is a guy that if you're looking for someone to replace a Divine Diablo, he's kind of what you were hoping Divine Diablo would be, or he's athletic, has a safety background, can cover. I mean, he carried Tez Johnson on one rep yesterday, which is pretty impressive, and I think hit the top speed among tight ends and linebackers at over 20 miles per hour yesterday. So just to give you an idea of how fast he is, and he has, I think, better instincts against the run and is better at taking on blocks. So he's a guy that I definitely have in my eye on in day 2 for the Raiders. One guy that caught my eye that I wasn't on my radar heading into it. I just want to make sure I get his name right. Let's see. Was Cody Lindenberg from Minnesota. He's built like what you think a middle linebacker would be. Again, had another guy who stood out against the run. And then today in 7-on-7, had a nice read and coverage where he read the quarterback's eyes, jumped in the passing lane, and got a pick. Not a man coverage guy. That got exposed a little bit in the one-on-ones, a little tight hipped, but I mean, if you can come downhill and play the run, and then you can be effective in end zone coverage and just read quarterback's eyes like he did and like he showed. That's what you can get away with as an inside linebacker. Probably more of a day 3 guy, but again, a guy to keep eyes on and someone who, when I get back in town, I'm going to have to flip on the tape and see what he has in store. I thought he had a pretty good couple practices so far. So those would be the 3 that I'd keep my eye on the most. Is Demetrius Knight from South Carolina, Jeff Bossa from Oregon, and then Cody Lindenberg from Minnesota. Smile London's another guy too from Georgia. He had a couple nice plays in coverage, more fluid, showed a little bit more promise against the run too. Those are my 4 guys if I could call them out the most.
Okay. All right. So running back too. I looked at a lot of the running backs today. So course, I'm a huge Ollie Gordon fan, and I start to like him more and more the more I watch him, especially watching him run routes today. He just looks super fluid at 233 pounds, running routes, catching the football, and one thing, because on his film, man, can he pass block? I don't know if he was I didn't know if I got to see that today, because I don't think that I know that the American team did pass blocking drills, but national team doesn't. But that's what, like, on film, he just be knocking dudes out, Ollie Gordon. So that's the player that I'm really looking at. I thought Devin Neal had a really great day at the running back position, running routes and things like that. So was it Travis Etienne? Because it's not.
No,
Trevor.
Trevor.
He's Trevor, right?
Trevor. Travis is with Jacksonville.
Yeah. So he looked really good running routes too. So you can tell he's going to be like a little scat back in the NFL.
Yeah.
Same thing with RJ Harvey. RJ Harvey looks more and more like a scat back the more I watch him on film, just out there. Even when you go back to the film, it kind of has that Kenneth Gainwell type of thing where he like comes in and just gets like a nice little 20-yard run sometimes, maybe catches a pass. That type of guy. I don't know if he could be like an every down guy, but he looks like that. Maybe just kind of a size thing a little bit. Maybe I'm just being a little size hater, but with him. But I really like how Devin Neal looked. He looked very explosive out there, and yeah, I mean, even the wide receiver turned running back, the Bashard dude, he looked pretty good out there too. So yeah, I thought the running good, man. But I'm a huge Ollie Gordon fan. The more I watch Ollie Gordon, the more I become a Ollie Gordon part of the bandwagon. So that's a guy that I know there's just something there. He's like physical when he runs too, man. He's not even get the chance to show that here, but he'll run your ass over. And he's 233 pounds. He's big. Could catch the football, blocks. Yeah, there's something there.
Yeah, he's a guy I feel like his stock, I mean, part of it was he wasn't playing as well, but like his stock kind of fell because of the way Oklahoma State's season went. Like going into this year, he was, up there with Jetty as a potential RB1, and obviously lost steam with how Oklahoma State's season went, but he's a guy definitely who's not new to the scene and just kind of might be subject or might be falling victim to his team having a bad year overall. But he's definitely been impressive so far.
Yeah. So I really liked him, man. I really did, man. I thought that he's going to be somebody that might go higher than people think. Because Scatterbo is not out there, and I think there's some things he does better than Scatterbo too. It's like like blocking and even maybe route running, because that's why I wanted to see Scatterbo out here, because he never really ran routes at ASU. They're mostly just like swing passes. So I wanted to see what he looked like in one-on-ones in open space, but you kind of never got that opportunity. So it is what it is. But anything else, Matt? We're just finish up with some questions. Any other thoughts you got from the Senior Bowl?
I mean, not too much, man. I mean, I feel like we kind of touched most of what we've been on. Donovan, I will say Donovan Ezeraku. I didn't mention him when talking defensive lineman. Another pass rusher that I think stood out and had a pretty good week here. Natural bend around the edge. If the Raiders don't re-sign a guy like Malcolm Kuntz, he could fill that third down role for them moving forward, because he's definitely having a good week too. So.
Yeah, I know some people asked about guards too. I thought the guard from North Dakota, he's having a really good week. The little small center, Lampkin. Don't sleep on him, man. He's like 5'10", 270 out there, just balling, right? Blocking right. You know what I mean? So moving guys. So yeah. How about number 12 from Iowa State? I think that's Jalen Noel. He's playing pretty well out there. Did Dylan Gabriel throw the fastest pass ever?
Yeah, that's got to be wrong.
No, because I think Jalen Monroe was faster than him. Jalen Monroe was like 75. He's the fastest. No, the fastest was that Seth Wingham dude or whatever his name is.
Yeah, that dude's got a legit arm. The Canadian dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 75 mile per hour pass from Dylan Gabriel, I don't know if that's ever been verified, but I don't know where that was coming from, because the fastest at the combine without pads on was like 62 from Josh Allen. So and someone else who also had a big arm. Name escaped me now. I think it was Joe Milton actually, but yeah. I don't know where that was coming from. That's got to be a malfunction.
Yeah. Tyler Show from Louisville.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks all right out there. I mean, he doesn't look really bad. He doesn't look really bad, in my opinion. I think the Canadian guy kind of looks better than him.
Yeah.
Kyle McCord went to East West Shrine game. Jackson Woodard from UNLV. Do you know who that is? The linebacker.
Yeah, he's not out here.
Yeah.
Jackson Woodard. Oh, what do I think about him? I mean, he's got good instincts for the run. Could be a good run defender, but he's probably a day 3, 7th round guy. Haven't done too much in him. He got racked up a ton of tackles. He had a decent game against Genty the first time they played him, and then the second time it was a different story. But yeah, he's a day 3 guy.
Yeah. Let me see. Another player. He said, I know a QB or a player is a good one. Marcus says, I mean, he's okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Shook doesn't do it for me. Guy that spent 7 years in college and was Justin Herbert's backup for like 2 years is I don't know. Isn't gonna be on my radar in the drafted.
Yeah. Is there a DT of the flavor of what Tampa Bay had? I mean, there's no Vita Vea, so I mean,
yeah. I mean, size-wise, you'd hope that'd be Walker, but that's not him. Yeah,
you know what I mean. There's no Vita Vea, but I don't know, like maybe like edge-wise, there's some guys out here like that probably fit those profiles. Like like what's that Joe? Well, he changed his name, but Joe Tryon or whatever.
Oh, yeah. That would be like Princely. They kind of have a similar profile, but Princely's not been great, and he got injured again today.
Yeah.
Princely Umanilin. Saying that wrong, but we did the breakdown on him before. But yeah, he hasn't done much, and got hurt.
Yeah. We gave our thoughts on Patrick Graham earlier. We did like a whole 10 minutes on that.
Yeah, open with that.
Yeah, and then one more question here. Is this the weakest wide receiver draft class we've seen in a while? Yeah. I mean, the wide receivers look pretty good out here. I mean, they don't look bad, to be honest. I mean, maybe it's a little underrated because I liked the dude from Georgia. He was having a good week. I saw his name in here. But yeah, he's having a good week. And then like Tess Johnson looks pretty good out there. So maybe those are typical guys, but it's not awful. I just think it's a little bit underrated. So.
Yeah, wow. There's not a lot of top end talent. I don't know. I'm not that high in the wideouts this year.
Yeah, it's just there's not like there's no like, what I'm saying, like it's not like a bunch of Jamar Chase. Like when Jamar Chase came out, it was like Jamar Chase and like a bunch of other guys are in the same round as him. It's like McMillan, and then it's like big drop off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Have you guys talked about possibly keeping Bevel yet, and how underwhelming that would be? That's the last question we got here.
I mean, I'd like to see again. I think I've mentioned it on here. I'd love to see them go after Bobby Slowick. I think that's my dream at this point. The fact that he's gotten cast away by Houston, I'd like to see them pluck from the Shanahan tree, and I think he'd be perfect as like that potential head coach in waiting. But Bevel, I think the connection with Pete might be strong. I'm kind of just hoping that Pete remembers why he fired him and why he didn't want him around. So I don't know. He's not a bad coach or not a bad OC. He's not the guy that I would be hoping for, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, he just hasn't been a good OC. Like, I think he went somewhere else and he wasn't good either.
Jacksonville.
Yeah, he just hasn't been good. I mean, I guess they're probably going to bring back Russell Wilson if he comes in, because he hasn't been good without a quarterback. So it's not like he's like one of those guys who could just like make somebody good. That's my thing. I saw today that Slowick and CJ Stroud like never got along. Like they got in a fight for the draft last year. They almost got like a fist fight before he got drafted by the Texans. So like everybody thought he was going to go to Houston. So I guess they had a little problem. Like, yeah, it was a crazy story, but told by Lance Zierlein on his radio show. I saw it on online about how CJ Stroud
Before Stroud got drafted, they
almost got a fight because
before Stroud got drafted, did that happen?
Before Stroud got drafted to the Texans, they almost got like a fist fight during the draft process. Like, this is a true story. Like, and nobody thought that he was going to take him. They still traded up. I was like, come on, man, you could have let him fall to the Raiders. Like,
damn.
So
That's
yeah,
wild.
I guess CJ Stroud, like, he was telling Slowick, yeah, I used to run that at Ohio State. When he was like go over plays, and he'd be like, "Oh, at Ohio State we would call it this," and I guess Slowick's like, "I don't give a fuck what you called it at Ohio State."
All right.
That's just that's an odd pairing for the beginning. So maybe that's why Slowick got fired. It might not even be schematics. It might just be like,
yeah.
So maybe they do look at him, but yeah, Bevel will be ugly, man. I'm just tired of Bevel. But anyways, that's my my football tea of the week for everybody. But anyways, we're out of here, guys. We'll see you over the weekend. We'll kind of be like doing a full recap this weekend or something. We'll do that, and then we'll see you guys. But appreciate you guys coming out here and enjoying us. Got about 611 in here, so that's pretty dope. But we'll be out of here, bro. Peace.